All right. It says we're live, but don't worry about that. That's a good looking picture. I want to play that again. Hey, welcome. This is Leaders Lead, the podcast. We have a special edition today. We're talking to James Layman. As you guys know, man, I bring people on this show. As you all know, I'm trying to work on that. As you all know, I bring people on this show that I'm deeply admired by. James has a special mission. His mission is leading the youth and teaching the youth how to be leaders. James is the director of student programs at, I always get it mixed up, the words. It's what, AWSL. AWSL. You want to talk a little bit about AWSL?
Yeah, of course. First off, just so good to see you, my man. So good to see you. Yeah, so AWSL is the Association of Washington Student Leaders. So we're Washington State's student leadership, student programs organization. We're connected to our principals organization, AWSP, the Association of Washington School Principals. So we do a lot of the same work with our principals, and really we're all about student engagement, student empowerment, and student voice. And yes, we work with a lot of tried but true student leaders, but we really work with everybody. So
everybody's a leader, right? Yeah.
Right. And so we really work with everybody, and we do camps and programs and workshops and trainings and just try to give a platform for students to be able to, like, I really see myself as a megaphone for student voice and a conduit to student voice. And so I see myself kind of as an agent for students and try to augment their voice. So I got the best job ever. It's awesome.
Oh, dude, I see it oozing out of you. You're passionate about your work, right?
I mean, how can you not be? Like, I get to, like I said, I feel like it's a dream job, and I get to listen to and learn from the best minds in the world, which is students. And then I get to take that and I get to share that out. And then I get to listen to really cool adults who are also passionate about students and marry that to what I'm hearing from students. So I get the best of a little bit of everything. And so I get to be a teacher, I get to be an instructor, but most of all, I think I get to be a good listener and learner. And then I get to take that and find ways to incorporate that to make hopefully the world a little bit better place. But I feel like I'm a listener and learner more than I'm anything else. And
Wow. I'm glad that you said that, and look like we got quite a few people tuning in on LinkedIn. Look like we got people on Facebook and on YouTube. So I did drop the ball. I was able to get us rolling. But yeah, in case you missed a little bit about what we're talking about, let me sum it up. What I got from James, the director, right? The director is leaders listen. How important is that? You listening, because not enough leaders listen. I always, when I was growing up, I would equate leaders to the people that talked. But you said something really interesting about leaders listening.
I like to like go through the world of, like, I don't know anything, right? And so I'm not an expert of anything, because when I work with people about their schools or their lived living circumstances or their school world or their human world. I'm not an expert of that, right? And so all I get to do is listen and soak that in, and then maybe provide another perspective to it, but I'm not the expert of it, right? They're the expert of it, whether that's a kindergartner telling me. I'm not an expert of kindergarten. I was in kindergarten almost 30 years ago. So listening to a kindergartner tell me about what life is like as a kindergartner right now, they're the expert, not me. And so I really feel like the biggest part of my job is listening and learning more over than anything else. Like, I think those are the top two pieces of my job.
Wow, man, I'm super inspired by you, man. I before I even reached out to you and asked you to come on the show, man, I did a deep dive, man. All of my guests that come on, I don't necessarily say, oh man, I want to bring this person on the show. I'm like, man, I'm really intrigued by this person. I looked at there was a speech that you did, brother, and dude, it touched my heart just hearing your stories, the MLK speech.
Yeah.
And dude, it came right from the heart. It sounded like more of a conversation than a speech.
Well, I don't like to say that I'm a keynote speaker just because I'm a conversationalist. Like, yeah. I'm a kid who talked a lot in school, right? And so, and I feel that speeches can be just somebody pontificating rather than let's just engage in dialogue. And if we can engage in dialogue, I always have learned better that way. And so that's sort of my approach. Let's just have a conversation. Like, I'm not a speaker. I'm just
and that makes you an excellent speaker. I was listening, and dude, I was taking some notes, man. I love the way that you speak, bro. You're a speaker.
I socialized too much. That was what a lot of my report card said, and
me too.
So, yeah, like it didn't work well for me in geometry talking too much, but now I can. I feel very blessed that I've lived a very cool life and good, bad, and everything in between. But I feel like there's a lot of parts of my life that are relatable to a lot of different people. And so having an opportunity to share some of that, I think, is a really cool thing. I'm not a speaker. I'm just James talking.
Yeah. How cool is that? That the one thing that we probably got in trouble for as kids is something that we make a living doing now, dude. That is crazy just to think about it.
But you know what? The cool thing, I remember my algebra teacher in high school, Mrs. Wood, I'm talking about you. She was one of the people who put socializes too much in class, but she always told me, she's like, you're going to make a living talking. Like, what? So, like, yes, you talk too much in my class, but somehow you're going to turn this into something. So
maybe you're going to be successful someplace out there, but maybe not in here.
Yeah. Like, it's not going to help you with Pythagorean theorem, whatever that is. I still don't know, but I remember.
I can't even say it. The way you said it was beautiful, brother. I can't even say it.
I still don't know what it is. But like, she was always very, very much just like, but you're going to turn that into something. And my high school assistant principal, Mrs. Sorensen, her husband was the band director. So those two sort of like adopted me as their son in high school. There's a few times, I was in her office and we would just talk about like, you got to channel this somewhere and somehow. And, but they never let me think that I was bad. It was just like, you got to find your outlet. And so now I feel like in my job, I get to do that.
That's awesome. Look like we got some comments coming in. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you, gents, for sharing your delectable thoughts with us today. I love that.
I love that.
I love that. Hey, we can make that the theme of this show. I like that. Your delectable thoughts, man. One thing that struck me out about you, and that's for a lot of people when they hear the show, Leaders Lead the podcast, I think that we're talking about metrics. I think that we're talking about how to get people to do stuff, right? But as far as I'm concerned, I believe that in order for you to be a leader, like externally, you have to be a leader within. And not only that, you have had to overcome some sort of adversity. And that's one thing about your story that I love and I became obsessed with is the things that you went through in your life. And I'm just like, man, that is amazing. And I feel like a lot of emerging leaders, such as the students, such as just anybody, I believe that everybody can be a leader. I feel like they need to hear your story because we're sitting there, we're talking to the director of AWSL. I can't even say it. I got it that time, brother. Right. So, like, can you tell us a little bit about your past and maybe some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think when people talk about my story or I talk about my story, you know, I was adopted. I was adopted into a single parent white family. My mother was a college English professor. She, you know, in the 80s, people would use words with her like radical and things like that. She was like a pioneer of like women empowerment and just like she was just a force. But she was also, you know, she was ill. She was ill. She had, you know, chronic liver disease and diabetes and other things. And so she had to retire on disability when I was early in elementary school. And so navigating having a sick mother and sick white mother while being black and having
wait, you're black?
Okay. So funny story about this.
Sorry, man, I'm all over the place.
I love that you said that because every time that I present, I always slip that in at some presentation just to see the reaction I get. And I know you will because you've been following me.
All right, go ahead. My bad, bro.
But I throw it in just to see the reaction I get. And there was one time I said it, and a group of students, like audibly gasped so hard. I'm like, hey, everyone, just so y'all know, I'm black. And they like sucked the air out of the entire room. It's like, yo, did I say like, it's okay. It's okay. And then there was one time I gave an MLK speech out of school. And the same thing, I'm like, hey, I know you all like probably know why I'm here. Right. Like, and then it's not just because I'm black or whatever. And for whatever reason, their reaction to it was like, let's give him a standing ovation. So they all like stood up and clapped, like, yay, what? Like, I just don't think they knew.
That was you being real. Yeah. They need that.
Right. And then I'm like, well, that was funny. Let's try it the next day. So the next day, I said the same thing, just dead silence. Like nobody knew how to react to it. But the thing you'll learn about me is like I'm all about I gotta humanize myself, right? And like y'all guess what? I'm black, like right, and like let's like not hide behind that. Like it's okay. But I think that's a part of my story. You know, I grew up with a white family, and my family is like I love them. They're white, and but that was like so. Talking about being the black kid was always. You know, when my mom, when my grandmother, my uncles, my aunts would show up at the school, and yes, that's my mom. Yes, that's my grandmother. Yeah, you always have to explain it, right?
Yeah, and, yeah. They're looking around like, so what? Who is this, right?
And then you got to explain the whole thing, and I mean, yeah, and it's just like how many other students have to explain their family dynamics every single time, or you know, when you're out and about with your family and people don't make the connection that this person I'm with, yes, this is my uncle. Yes, this is my aunt. Yes, this is my mom. You know, they would talk to them and they would talk, but they wouldn't make the connection that we're in. I'm 36 now. I know I don't look like over 19, but I'm 36 now. And it still happens when we're out.
Yeah, man, I was going to give you 21, bro.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Very kind. But yeah, so, you know, but the thing about my story is like, I feel like I've had highs and lows, overcome things, have had those things, but I feel like everybody has.
Mm.
Right. And I'm a big believer in not comparing my struggles versus somebody else's struggles, because I feel like we compare way too much. And we've all got hard stuff. We've all got hard stuff. And what I've gone through, okay, yeah, like other people have had way worse, right? Or whatever. But that humanization that I've gone through stuff, you've gone through stuff, whoever's listening to this has gone through stuff, right? And we can humanize the fact that we've all gone through stuff. Like there's where the power is, and not comparing it.
Wow. I love that. So when you're giving your speech and you're giving them this the same dose that you're giving us, I'm pretty sure you have students that come up to you afterwards and ask you questions, probably all different colors, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some of the questions that they ask you?
I think I don't think it's much of a question, but the number one thing that I love hearing, and I hear it a lot, is just specifically people who are in multiracial families or circumstances, and who never or don't often feel like their story is they don't have permission to share their story or that perspective. Or I get told all the time that I'm not black enough, whatever that means, and it's like, y'all, I'm black, right? But I get told that I'm not black enough, or I need to act a certain way or be a certain way, or I don't fit a certain mold, and so there's something wrong with me, or my lived experience, because of my lived experience, that I've not experienced certain things. And it's like, yo, I've experienced everything you could possibly imagine. Whatever you conjure up as a black male that has a black male experience, I've experienced it. Like, we don't need to get into all, but I have, right? And so
Yeah.
I think the number one thing that I hear, which I love, is just when people feel connected to something that I've said, and how it tethers to something in their life. And what I really love is when people who look nothing like me, who in every metric are completely opposite of me, can come up and say, like, I connected with something that you said.
Wow.
That, to me, like, I love that more than anything, because it reminds me that we're all human. We're all human, and that anybody's story can connect to yours, and we got to find more connection points.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said that we're all human. I got a really good friend, Angela Vasquez, and that's her biggest thing. I'm here to remind people that we are all human. And I love that the way that you bring people and you connect people together, because when we're talking about race, right? We're talking about race. There's so many people, they're very, very, very loud about it.
Yeah.
And there's other people, they might say a little something, but then there's those other people that are very like quiet about it, because they don't feel like their voice matters.
And I think, right or wrong, I've had 36 years of practice talking about it, right? Like, because
and living it too, right? Yeah.
My mom's white. Yes, my brother and sister are both black. No, we're not biologically related. Like, so I feel like since I could speak, I've been able to deconstruct it in a really accessible way. And you probably also study, like, I used to teach band, and so one of the things about me is, like, I don't like to overcomplicate things. I just don't. Like, I'm a very simplistic person, and so I don't like to overcomplicate things, and I oftentimes think we overcomplicate things just too much, and so way too much, and I don't. Yes, things are complex, but I don't think of the way that we need to approach them need to be as complex as we outwardly make things.
Oh, that inspires me, bro, because you're speaking my language, because I'm one of those people, the way that my brain work is, I'm probably about 2 shades away from caveman. For me, it's either yes, no, go, stay, stop. But when we start complicating stuff with, all of these new like words and acronyms and like, and I know you got something to say about that as far as like the different languages that we speak. It kind of makes a communication barrier, I would think, and not just when we're talking about race, but when we're talking about at work, when we're talking about at home, right?
Well, so here's I think one of our greatest achievements in the world is also one of our greatest detriments, which is the power of words, right? Like, because we are so good at like everything needs a title and everything needs a label and everything needs to be openly like explained, which is a really cool thing that we've provided language and context to everything. The problem with that is we've now got something for everything. And so I think one of the biggest fears that people have is, where did this word just magically come from? And we're on this constant treadmill of just like the world is constantly moving. And I feel like some people are like, I didn't even know I was on a treadmill. And like, where did these words just come from? And by the time that you learn it, something new has developed. And so there's constant fear of I'm behind. And so therefore I'm an inferior. Therefore something's wrong with me. Therefore I don't have permission to speak about these things because I don't know. Which I think is I feel like that is one of the big things that's happened specifically over the last year and a half. And I feel like one of the biggest disconnects we have as people is language and accessibility to language and feeling like we don't know what we're talking about. But when you just sit down and talk about things, people are like, oh, well, that makes sense. But we don't do that because we just throw hyperbola out there and expect people just to know. And I think specifically in the education system, we are horrible about that. We just throw new words out there.
Wait a minute. You're in the education system.
I am, and I'm saying we're guilty of it.
I love it. I love it, brother.
Us under the bus, 100%. We are so bad at just like, here's all these new words that everybody just magically needs to know. True story. Do you know what one of the big questions I ask schools is all the time?
What's that?
I say, what is school spirit? Do you know how few people can actually answer that question?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because they think that you're going in one direction, right? When it's a simple question.
Well, it's a simple question in theory, but because we throw these words out all the time and we use these words, school spirit, school culture, inclusion. We say these things all the time. They're like in every school's acronym. Like our school has pride, perseverance and readiness and inclusivity and diversity. And okay, what do those words actually mean? Like, and we don't ever take time to like really digest any of those things. We just throw these words out
because it sounds sexy.
It sounds really good. Like it sounds good to say that we've got pride, but or excellence or whatever it is. Like our school soars, right? We've got whatever that is. But I feel like language has caused a lot of barriers for people.
Wow.
So the MLK speech that you listened to, one of the big things that when I wrote it, I intentionally listened to Mr. Rogers before I wrote it. I listened to LeVar Burton reading Rainbow before I wrote it because I sent him a
DM last night to get him on the show. But go ahead.
Did he respond back?
No, not yet.
But part of the reason was because they took complex things, but they made them digestible. And so I was like, what did they do? And I was like, well, look at the language they're using. They're using as accessible of language as we possibly can to bring people in. And it's like, okay, I want to do that. And so it's not that I can't use those words, but I tend not to because my hope is that anytime that I share with anybody, I try, communicate with people that people are like, oh, well, that I got that. Versus, wait, what did I need to go get a dictionary and a thesaurus now? Like,
Yeah, I got a friend last night that we were talking about speaking, and she was like, "Yeah, most people speak. A lot of people speak in PhD."
not me.
Yeah, yeah.
Not me. And if I heard that, I would be like, I try to think, what would James Layman at 15, 16, 17 need to hear? And if it was PhD talk, James in high school would have been like, nope. And so I'm not going to do that.
Dude, I love that. I love that. And I'm pretty sure the students and teachers that you speak to love it as well. Look like we got a comment from Jennifer. Thank you for the engagement, Jennifer. I love this. As again, this podcast, it's just not for James and I to have a conversation. Is for everybody. Everybody is included. Positive affirmations may create a wonderful synergy of gratitude with all ages learning from one another, from my opinion of this incredibly inspiring live broadcast. You're gonna make me cry.
Jennifer's on it. Yes, I'm all about positive affirmations.
Yeah, I cry. Man, I cry at least once a week on this show, bro. What is some stuff? When did you start the positive affirmations? Because it's new for me, bro.
2 years ago, I was talking with my therapist, and we were just talking about the language that we and I'm a big proponent of mental wellness and all of those things. And I go not because things are bad, but just because I want to stay as mentally well as I possibly can. And
yes.
and
just like you go to a regular doctor, right?
Yep, 100%. And so for me, it's all about how can James be the best version of James, and my mental wellness is a big part of that. But one of the things was, we were talking about just what sort of things do I say about myself, and I am a big self-deprecating humor type of person. But there's a fine line between self-deprecating and hate speech to myself.
Yeah, explain that to the folks, because I think. Yeah, because when I think about it as you kind of make puns about yourself sometimes, right?
100%. In my family, I'm the big one. I'm the eater, right? And so it's really easy to.
So am I. Don't feel bad, brother.
I love it, but I have a lot of people in my family who go run marathons and train and do the gym thing and I like to tell people, like, I have a Netflix body, right? Like, my body like I'm designed to be on my couch eating like a large pizza. But like, it's really like, those things are funny, but I also have to be careful of, am I just lightly making fun of myself, or am I talking myself into seeing myself in that light in a negative way? And it was 2 years ago when I realized I was doing a lot of negative self-talk to myself, and I was not speaking. I was masquerading it as making a joke about myself, but I was really just being mean to myself. Mm-hmm. And so, no, I'm just all about, James is awesome. Like, I'm like, I'm pretty cool.
I love that, man. I do the same thing, man. As I remember growing up as a kid, sometimes just looking at myself in the mirror, but always thinking about things that I could change, or that I should change. But now, as an adult, and this is the same thing, man, dealing with mental health and going to therapy, and me listening to like inspirational tapes. And I'm just like, okay, what is this self-affirmation thing? You mean like I talk to myself? Wait a minute. I already talk to myself because I'm saying these horrible things about myself. But now, dude, it makes a world of difference walking by the mirror and being like, look at that sexy dude over there. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. Like, it makes me feel good just saying that.
You know what the biggest shift for me was? It was I woke up one day and I just said, "Man, I'm happy." Like, and like I'm really happy. Like I love what I do. I love myself. Like I've got good friends. I got cool fit. Like my life is good. And then it was like, how many people don't have that? How many people are miserable, right? And you go online and you just and you see people just not like struggling and my heart goes out to them. And it was this moment of clarity where it's like, man, I'm happy. Like I have the coolest job in the world. Like I feel like it's the greatest job in the world, and I'm really happy. And so it's like, why would I tear myself down if I'm happy?
That's beautiful. Oh my God. I bet you have to, you still, you have to remind yourself sometime to, you know what? I love this job. This is the best. I'm pretty sure you have those days, right? Or
Daily. But there's that moment where just like, whatever that, that passing cloud goes through of just whatever. And then it's like, James, are you happy? Yeah. Heck yeah, you're happy. Do you love what you're doing? I love what I'm doing. Do you love who you get to do this stuff with? I love it. Right. And so I don't know. I'm just so full of gratitude every single day. And I'm just the happiest human being.
wow.
And it's not fake. And yeah, I have bad days, but I'm also like, I'm just the happiest person I think in the world.
Wow. For the viewers and listeners, there, because just like you said, there's a bunch of people. Like I log into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, not necessarily Instagram because everybody's happy on Instagram, everybody's balling and killing it on IG, but those other sites, man, I log in and I've been noticing the past year, I'm so sad. Somebody pray for me. I'm feeling depressed, and I know that some of those people are watching this broadcast right now. What advice would you give them so that they can get a little bit of what James Layman got in his life?
I mean, I think the number one thing that we as people need to accept is that we're not machines, and that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to have a day, week, month where you're not thriving at your best, right? And I think that we drain ourselves with this masquerading of false perfection that's not real, right? And because as much as like one thing about me is I'm a hardcore introvert, and I love getting out and doing things and meeting with people, and this is awesome, but I also know that I need the James time to recharge. And so like when I'm not on, I am off, right? And I need that for myself because I got to balance things out. But I just think people feel like they need to be perfect all the time. And this false pretense of perfection. Right? And that we've got to portray ourselves as complete. And it's funny, if you see what some people post on Instagram and you see what some people post on Facebook, it's two very different lives.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
One is life is awesome. One is here's my life is terrible. And there's dissonance between the two.
Yeah.
And I feel like people feel like they need to live the split personality rather than just being, guess what? My life's messy right now. My day is messy right now. Like, let's embrace the mess. Like, it's okay. And I also feel like we need to normalize saying, I just need help. You know what's shocking? There's a lot of people that I'll reach out to randomly and just say, hey, I hope you have a good day today. How many people reach back to me and just say, you have no idea how much I needed that.
Oh.
And I don't need it. I don't do it for James, you're so cool. I don't do it for that. I do it because people just need that little bit of, I see you, I recognize you, I just want you to be well. And I feel like we've lost that in the world. And so
I love that, bro. I love that. That's good to know, man. That I thought I was weird. There randomly, I'll think about somebody or I'll see something that they do, and I'll be like, they're killing it. And before, I wouldn't do that, but now I'll send them a message and say, I love what you're doing. You're killing it. Or, dude, I was just thinking about you,
Yes.
and it's the same thing. The reactions, it's almost like they're like, wait, what are you trying to sell me? And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not trying to sell. I just want to let you know that I love you. So I'm glad that you hit on that, man. This is a theme. We had a guest, Bill Dolan. He was on last week and he said the same thing. He just let people know, hey, I love you. He told me that yesterday. That's cool, man.
It's funny you mentioned, like, one of the things I started my New Year's resolution in 2020. Remember that year, everyone? But yeah, my New Year's resolution in 2020, and I've maintained it. The second somebody pops in my head, a funny story or just somebody I immediately message them. Hey, I was just thinking about you.
Oh, that's good stuff, man.
And for no other reason of just letting people know that, hey, you flooded my brain in this moment, and you caused me to pause, whether it was a funny story or whatever. Boom, you're there. And so I do that. And once again, it's not about me. It's not about me. And I don't look for any. I don't get Christmas cards from people that say, "Hey, James, thanks for texting me on that one day." Like, it doesn't. It's not about that. But it's
and
just,
you're not even looking for it either, probably, right?
heck no. No, because I don't know what the statute of limitations is on how long Christmas cards on your fridge. Like, I get anxiety thinking about, like, how long do you keep those cards on your. I still got some from 3 years ago on my fridge because I feel guilty. Like, anyway.
You feel good? No, dude, I'm there with you. Hey, and if my family and friends are watching, I'm glad James brought this up. Yeah, just send me a text, man. Don't send me a card. Even though I do tell you this, I hadn't got a Christmas card, man, in years. I hadn't got one in years, and I got one from one of my cousins this last Christmas, and I got happy. I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" So I'm gonna take that back.
Yeah, keep sending.
Not send me the Christmas card, but I know what you're saying with the guilt as far as, like, should I get rid of them, or does this mean that I'm betraying them, or what? Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer's on it.
Yeah, she is. James Possible, and I'm glad. Thank you for tuning in. James does a lot of advocacy for humans, man. Thank you, James. We love you. You are amazing.
Can I just say that James Possible might be the coolest name on the planet? And
yeah, I think so. That is cool, right?
I might legally have to change my name because that's on it. I love it.
Yeah, dude. And I'll make sure we edit this out so nobody can know where you got it from. Oh, Kenneth says, I have Christmas cards from the last century. I think we all do, man. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, this is so good. This is so good. I'm pretty sure everybody have a bunch of questions. We don't have James for too long. So if you got some questions, for James, yeah, chime in. This is really good stuff. Yeah, that speech, man. I wanted to open it up talking about that speech, and I had pirated it and took it off, and I was going to play it, but for some reason I couldn't get it going. My engineer freaking ain't working right today. But yeah, man, the stuff that you're doing, I love. I didn't even know that your position or even the organization that you work for, I didn't know that it existed. I was thinking students, leadership, like what is that about?
Yeah, well, so a lot of people unfortunately, a lot of people don't know we exist, but we're working on that. But
we're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that. Yeah.
No, but when I was in I was very active in leadership, student council, student government, whatever people want to call it, right? Like, I was always very interested in that from elementary school. In 6th grade, you got to be a part of leadership at my elementary school. And I
Wow,
was
what school did you go to? That's awesome, bro.
Roosevelt Elementary in Spokane, Washington. And
Good stuff.
you got this really cool shirt, and I was like all about getting it. Like from kindergarten on up, I was like, I'm gonna be a part of it. And then I got pneumonia in 6th grade, so I was out of school for a month, so I didn't get to be a part of it. I'm still a little salty about that. But I got to be a crossing guard, which for me was like the ultimate like leadership thing. And then I was super involved. And then we moved schools between my 7th and 8th grade year. We moved districts and moved to a different part of town. And I went to a brand new school. And my uncle, on the morning of my new school, like he said something that I'll never ever forget. He just said, "You're going to a new school. You get an opportunity to be who you want to be. This is a fresh start for you." And my Uncle Mark said that to me. And I don't know if he recognizes how instrumental that was for me. And it was just like, you're right, I got a fresh start. And I went to this new school, Green Acres Junior High School. And my whole life, like if I could go back to any point in my life, I would go back to that year because everything just clicked for me. I felt more confident in who I was. I just was like, no, like I don't need to ask permission to be James.
So did you have identity issues before?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know who James was. Is James the teacher's pet?
Dude, I love you. Thank you for talking about this.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. I think we all suffer from this. Go ahead. Yeah.
I didn't know who James was. I wasn't the athlete. And I mean this is not self-deprecating. This is me being 100% real. Like James didn't excel at one thing. I was never a prodigy at one thing. My sister, amazing runner, athlete, like naturally had that ability. Like she had James didn't have the one thing that I was really, really good at. And I think I really struggled with that throughout elementary into junior high. When I moved to that new school and my uncle said that thing to me in the morning, it was like, I can just be the best James. And I don't know if I had the foresight to use that sentence, but I knew internally like that's where I was at. And so I realized that I was funny. Because in elementary school, like I didn't know how to tap into that. But by middle school, junior high, I was like, oh, I'm kind of funny, right? And so got to tap into that. Was class clown and became ASB president at a new school as the new kid, right? And I just think I settled into the groove of I can just be good at being James. And so like I was really involved in music. I was really involved in student government and leadership and all of that stuff. Went to college and was really like, I knew I wanted to be involved in education. So, okay, well, I'll be a teacher, right? And did the music thing and worked with band. But this leadership stuff was always like this guiding light in my life. Like it was always attached to me. And but how do you make that a job? Like, how do you do that full time? I no clue how to do that full time. So you want to talk about manifesting things. Like, this is why I love my life. 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I sent an email to my now former boss during my prep period and just said, are there more opportunities in this leadership world? And literally just a cold email. And she responded back with, well, what do you want to do? Ooh. And I'm like, well, that's not a no. That's not a no, right? Because I've always sort of subscribed to, if the worst thing I'm going to hear is no, then why not ask the question, right?
Let's do it. Yeah.
And it was like, well, what do you want to do? And over the years, I'd heard her share, like, hey, it'd be really cool if somebody could do this and this and this. And I was always like, well, I could do that. I could do that. And so I sort of cataloged that and presented that. And we had this cool conversation, and it ended up with me being hired. and 4 years later, now I'm the director, right? And so,
Wow.
but it all just happened because this was always something. Like you hear those inspirational quotes, like go towards the things that like set your heart on fire, right? But it was like, what's been the constant in my life? Leadership, right? And not that I see myself as I see myself as a person, but I've always found my way or been connected or attached or in a relationship with leadership and leadership roles and opportunities. In sixth grade, my class got booted from being crossing guards because we couldn't keep the closet clean. And
y'all got fired.
Right, we got fired, right? And I cried and I was upset, like legitimately, like crocodile tears from sixth grade James. And my mom was just like, "What are you going to do about it?" Like, right? And so I wrote a strongly worded letter to my principal advocating why I still needed to be a crossing guard. And I went and presented it the next day. And so I got permission to still be a crossing guard, even though the rest of my class did not.
Wow. So yeah, so you in that moment, you did something about it. Instead of just complaining, you acted.
Yeah, my mom said, she said, cry now, but what do you want? You can either accept it, or if you want to do something, but you have to be prepared for whatever the final outcome is. Are you okay with that? Yep, so I wrote a letter, and I went to the principal the next day. Okay, Mrs. Rust, I'm going to read you this letter. And I read her a letter about why I wanted to still be a crossing guard, which... Now saying it at 36 is like the nerdiest thing ever, but I own it. I really wanted to be a crossing guard. And
that was a boss move, man. That was a boss move. There's some adults that won't do that.
Right. And so, I just feel James, I just feel that my life has been enriched by leadership opportunities. And it's always, I'm not a prodigy at anything. I'm not a virtuoso at anything, but this has been the one constant in my life. And so why not find a way to make that a part of my life? And now it is. And so,
and you're leading, we're talking about all the students pretty much in the state, right?
Yeah.
Your program,
I'm the director. I mean, really, to me, that just means I get more emails per day than I used to. Right. But, no, and my big thing with people is this, like, what makes you happy? And do that, right? And I don't think we have that conversation enough. I think we talk more about the materialistic things, like what's going to make you the most money, or what's gonna give you the biggest status. Y'all, like, I'm going to be at my 20-year reunion in a year and a half, and I know I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be one of the happiest people at my 20-year reunion. And there are going to be people who make more money than me, who have bigger status jobs than me, who might not be as happy as me.
Yes, dude, you're speaking to my soul, man. For the viewers, I mean, everybody know this. I left away from my job, making over six figures, was freaking miserable. I'm talking about miserable. Like most people probably would think that you're the happiest because you're at the pinnacle of pay. But that one thing that was missing was joy. The things that I was doing to make that money. Yeah, it was noble. Yeah, it was an amazing skill set, but it did not bring me joy. So I'm so glad that you touched on that. That is, you're probably going to be the happiest, not the most paid.
Yeah. You used the magic word there. You said the word joy. And I feel like every day I have joy doing what I do. And my hope for everybody is that they have that same, with whatever it is. James at 5 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, wanted to work at McDonald's because I thought that would give me the most joy. Heck, I think it still would. Like, I love it.
That's awesome, bro.
Right? But it's just, I don't, my hope is that when people interact with me or through my job, and when I retire in 30 plus years, because it's not that much longer, but my hope is that if there's anything that like my legacy is that I loved what I was doing. I had fun while I was doing it. And hopefully I instilled joy and fun in other people. And if we learn along the way, awesome. But dude, I laugh every single day. There's not been a day in this job where I've not laughed or smiled or been inspired. And most of that comes from students.
Oh man, dude, yeah. I think you're in the perfect role because you're leading other people to get to where you are. Can you imagine walking into establishments throughout our state and everybody having that same attitude that you have? Oh my God.
And and you said it like I'm leading everything, but really it's like I don't shy away from the word leader because I want to say that I am also, while I'm leading things, I'm learning. I'm learning.
That's leading, bro.
Right? And so I feel like I'm the biggest learner in the world, like the biggest learner in the world. And I feel like I go to the school of people every single day. And I travel all over the place. I travel to different schools and K through adult, and I just get so cool getting to learn just different things and different things from different people. So
wow, James said, sounds as if you have amazing parents. Can you speak to that?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have a really big.
Yeah, my mom, she passed 12 years ago, but
I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
No, but you know what? But like my mom was always told me, and it was funny because when she adopted me and my two other siblings, she worked at a local community college here in Spokane, Washington, and she did an interview with the school newspaper at the college, and they asked her like, "What is it that you wish for your kids?" And she said, "I don't care what they do, as long as they're happy, healthy, and productive."
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, am I happy, healthy, and productive? I'm happy. I'm healthy. My doctor would probably say, James, shed some lbs, but overall I'm healthy, right? And I feel like I'm productive. And so even though my mom's not actively seeing me do this every single day, I know that if she were alive, she would get the greatest kick out of what I'm doing every single day. She would want to know every place I was going and for me to share stories. So I feel like she couldn't be any prouder of me because all she wanted was for us to be happy, healthy, and productive. She also said loving, and I love what I do, and I love the people that I do that with. And so I feel like I'm living my mom's dream every single day. I've connected with my biological mom, which is really cool. She lives down there in Augusta, Georgia, outside of Augusta. And I feel like she's super proud of me too. And my half sister lives in Everett, Washington, which is a weird twist of fate that she ended up. Both of us live in Washington State. Like, what are the odds? But I feel like she's proud of me. There's not a day that goes by where I don't feel like people are proud of me. Because the bar was set at being happy, healthy, and productive. Not James, go make $1 million. James, go own the biggest house on the block. Hey, James, go be happy, healthy, and productive. So that was the bar. And I feel like I'm doing that every single day. So
I think that's where we should all like tell our kids is exactly what your mom told you, because to me, that's life. As a 38-year-old man right now, dude, that's what I wake up thinking about. That's what I want to run towards is that happy, productive. You know what I mean?
Well, just, I just, when I found that article that they were quoting, like, what do you want for your kids? And what do you want for your kids? And it was like, this wasn't, I was 3, my brother was 2, my sister was, just like an infant. And those are my mom's words, being happy, healthy, and productive. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to savor that flavor. See, I'm going to use it right? Just like, for me, like that was the bar. And, before my mom died, I was in college and I was going through that nebulous phase of like, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And it's like, yeah, I want to be a teacher, but things just weren't jiving. And, my mom told me, she's like, James, you know what I miss right now? And I'm like, what? She's like, I miss your smile. I missed your smile. You somewhere along the line, you lost your smile and you need to go find it. And I was just like, wow, like that's deep, right? And so one of the things now, you talk about the positive self-talk earlier. Every time I catch a glimpse of myself smiling, it like warms my heart because those were her words to me.
Oh man.
At some point that, hey man, you've somewhere along the line, you lost your smile. You got to go find it. And now in this job, what I'm doing now, I smile every single day. Every single day. Like the biggest smile. You can't take the smile off my face, right? And so how do I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do? Because I'm smiling and so I feel like I'm manifesting all of those things that were wished for me.
Oh. Dude, that's good. I'm sure. I don't know her, didn't know her, but I'm sure she is freaking proud of you, dude.
Well, how could she not?
Oh man, that is awesome.
Just kidding, Mom. No, but no, she would have been. I think she would have gotten such a joy and kick out of what I'm doing right now, and she would have absolutely loved it. And she would have said, you are right where you're supposed to be. And so, no, like I said, I love it. And every single, I smile daily, man. Life's such I love my life. I love my life. I love it.
Look at this. Alex Chambers, I hope you have a smile, friend. You're encouraging and inspiring people in the comments, brother. Dude, dude, this is good stuff, brother. Any last words that you have for our audience that might be, going through some challenges to where they can't smile in the moment?
I live by this motto and mantra that I take what I do seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. and I feel like we need to exhale a little bit and just learn to just be and not be for anybody else, but just be. And one of the best things, I don't take myself seriously. I just don't. I take what I do very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously in the process of that. And I just remember that I'm a human and I'm gonna screw up and I'm gonna make flubs and I'm not perfect, but am I happy, right? And doing things that make me happy every single day, whether that's listening to your podcast, my friend, makes me really happy, right? Whether that's eating food that makes me happy, right? And maybe not as much as I should. Maybe I should.
Hey, nothing wrong. Hey, if it make you happy, brother.
You know what? Like I in my phone, I have a James I love list, and it's the things that make me super super happy, right? And I have full disclosure in my phone. I have a folder of it's just called love, and it's things that I love in my phone. So those moments that I just need that quick jolt and that quick pick me up, I either look at my I love list or I look at these pictures of things. And true story, McDonald's fries is in that.
You're a funny dude, man.
I wish I was being like, oh, I've got all these deep motivational quotes and things that make me just really. I got McDonald's fries. I've got, I got pictures of friends. I've got just things like that, and just we got to just not take ourselves so seriously, and I think that's one of the biggest things. We just got to exhale, got to laugh, we got to just love ourselves a little bit more.
Wow, yeah. James said it at the same time I said it. Yeah, dude. This has been a freaking honor. I'm so inspired by you, brother, man. I appreciate you so much for spending almost a whole hour with us on the Friday. I know you got a lot going on in life, man. I want to tell you thank you, man, from the bottom of my heart. I can tell that our viewers enjoyed this. And if you're listening to Tony Taylor Inspires on the podcast platform, I know you're enjoying it too. So thank
Well,
you, bro.
well, I'm just gonna say this. In the world, I think we got to practice gratitude, and I think we also just got to, when we see awesomeness in somebody, we got to like shout it out and share it out. You and I have spoken on the phone one time, and through that, we've connected like in other ways. But man, you are just like one of the greatest people I've ever met in my entire life, and your ability to see and recognize people is such a gift. And we're like best friends now, right? And so,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't send Christmas cards, but if I did, just because
You can send me a Christmas card, bro.
I'll send
You
you
can
one.
send me one. You can send me one.
But no, I just want to say you're just such an awesome human being, and yeah, I can't thank you enough for being the awesome person that you are, and
oh, thank you, man. I appreciate. I receive it, bro.
you
I
make
receive.
you make me happy.
Oh man, you're about to make me freaking cry, man.
Good.
I'm not supposed to cry today. It's Friday.
Friday night cheers. Friday night.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna close us out. Hang out in my fancy green room, man, and let's chop it up in a second. All right, brother. All right. Thank you so much. Ooh, that was good stuff, man. That was good stuff. Some of the takeaways that I got from James and James's story. I mean, born out of adversity, went through adversity. He grew through what he was going through. Such a positive person. That does not mean that he is not without flaws, that he is not without trouble, that he is not without heartache, but he makes a choice, right? The same choice that you have every single day. You have a choice, like James, to wake up. Tell yourself you love yourself. Don't say things that go against you, right? You could tell the truth. Yeah, maybe I gained some pounds, but you know what? I'm still beautiful. I'm still sexy, right? I'm losing my hair, but you know what? I got a beautiful bald head, right? You can tell yourself that stuff. That stuff is so important. Joy is so infectious. I know that you've been infected with joy this afternoon, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you for spending time with me. I know that time is limited. Time is precious. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. If this message has touched you as much as it touched me, because it touched me, please feel free to share, subscribe to Tony Taylor Inspires, the podcast. Looking at some of the comments in there, man, I got to stay focused. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart. I'll see you next week, Thursday at 5, Friday at 5. We have some amazing guests. I wrote the guests down. Let's see who we got. I'll tell y'all later. All right. Y'all take care.